All right. So while we're waiting for other folks to join us, I'm Jeanne Walker-Todd from Walker Metalsmiths in Andover, New York. We've done business in Andover, New York for over 30 years. I'm only 35, so my dad, Steve, and mother, Sue, started the business. And we started out doing arts festivals and crafts fairs, and then we moved to mail order, which naturally led to online once the internet started. So that's why Nick and Ruby asked me to come talk to you guys about e-commerce. Since we do primarily e-commerce, we do have a store that many of you may have been into. But about 60 to 70% of our business is online. And lately it's been more than 60 or 70% since our store just opened last week to start taking appointments. So I have a lot of things to talk about that. Do you want me to wait for more people to come, Ruby, or just get started? I think they're gonna record this and post it later, correct? Awesome. So some fun things to know about e-commerce are that if you're going to do more than about $600 in business, it's not a hobby anymore, so you do need a business license. So just because it's online and you don't have a brick and mortar does not mean that you're exempt from business laws. So do get a business license, do get a business address, and whether that's your personal address or a PO box, that's okay, either one. You may also want to consider forming an LLC, which the New York State website, if you just search New York State LLC, their website is fabulous. It'll walk you through it, and as long as you have all your paperwork in order, you can do it in 20 minutes to an hour. If you're forming a business with someone else as a partnership, you may want to consult a business attorney just to make sure you have all your paperwork in order. But the website's really clear and straightforward. So then it's kind of important to know what your goal is with e-commerce. Is your goal to let people know about your business? So you're not selling anything online per se, but you're letting people know, like let's say you're a contractor and you're just letting them know, here's the services that I offer. Like I offer handyman services, or maybe you're a salon that offers, various services, and you just want people to be able to find you. So in that case, it's not necessarily e-commerce, but it is getting your name out there, because people are going to go Google or Bing search your stuff, and they're going to not find you because you don't have a website. Or you can also set up a Facebook page. So important things to have on your website if you're not selling anything, but just letting people know about your service. You need to have your business hours, and they should be pretty clear, usually at the bottom of the page or the top of the page, just saying, here's our hours of business. Any announcements, like let's say you close for certain holidays and one's coming up, it should be very clear where that is. Another thing to have is contact information, like your phone number, your email. How can people get in touch? A lot of these websites can also give you like an app that you can add, where it'll just say, click here to contact us. So that can be really useful. To, like, if you just want people to say, message me about my availability. Some people don't want to put their prices for their services online. Like let's say you're a hairstylist and like your different lengths of hair cost different amounts of money when it comes to hair coloring. If you put a price range there, people are going to have thoughts on whether or not, like where they lie in the price range. So it might just be like, contact us for a hair consultation, which just letting them know what products you offer so that they can look easily and see if the thing they're looking for is something you do. So if you're a hairstylist who also offers like nail services, good to know there. So you can also list brands you carry, services you offer, and other specialty services. Like, is there something you're particularly good at that you're proud of? Another thing to post on there is an about us. Like, tell your customers about you. Why should they shop with you instead of someone else? So let's say you just want to tell them about your personality why you do what you do, why you're passionate about your work. You can also talk about your certifications. Like, let's say you've had advanced training in something, or you have an advanced degree or a certificate, anything like that. Even if you've received community awards, like a Best of Wellsville kind of thing, it's a great place to brag yourself up a little bit. Now, these things all translate to the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is if you want to sell things online. So give me one moment. All right, I was just getting ready to share my screen so we can talk about setting up some website options. Now, before I share my screen and show you how to do that kind of stuff, you should also have an idea if you're going to be selling things online, what are you going to be selling? Are you a drop shipper who's you never have the item in your possession and you're having a warehouse fulfill that for you? Are you reselling vintage items or reselling items that you purchase elsewhere? I know a lot of people who go to local flea markets, garage sales, things like that, and find unique vintage items, fix them up, clean them up, and then resell them. You can do that. Are you selling a crafted item, something you make? Are you like a woodworker, knitter, or something like that, and you're selling that? Or are you a manufacturer? Like maybe you're just a small manufacturer of certain parts or even completed items. I guess Walker Metalsmiths would consider ourselves both craft and manufacturer, since we make all of our own designs and jewelry to sell. So we make it and then we sell it. So you don't really have to peg yourself into one of those things, but there's certain things that you might want to pay attention to if you're doing one of those. So how are you going to sell your items? Are you going to sell them on a standalone website that you're going to build? Are you going to sell them on eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Amazon? A lot of people don't think about the fact that Amazon, yes, they have Amazon direct fulfillment, but there are lots, hundreds, thousands probably, of individual sellers on there that fulfill the items for Amazon. So there's also Etsy, which is primarily for crafting. So if you have like a handcrafted item, that might be a good option. They do also allow you to sell craft supplies and vintage items. So you could sell there as well. eBay, you can sell pretty much everything as long as it's within their terms of service. So it might behoove you to do a little searching around, like what item do you want to sell? What service do you want to sell? How can you sell it? So like, because Etsy doesn't allow the sale of certain types of items, whereas eBay does. So there might be a better market for you. So if you've decided that Etsy is the right thing for you, I'm going to show you some minor things about setting up an Etsy. The nice thing about Etsy and eBay and Amazon, all of them have really easy walkthroughs. So it's very easy to just follow the tutorial, do what they tell you to do, and it'll let you set up a website. So let's go to share my screen. Did it share my screen? Hold on, where do you go? Share screen. Share. All right, so this one is our Etsy page. So when you get to Etsy, it's gonna look like this. I already logged myself in, but essentially what you do is you're going to set yourself up for an account. So you would just go to sign up for an account and follow that through. The things that you're gonna wanna do that are important here are your settings. It's going to ask you to set up your shop, pick out your, like, who am I? I'm Jeanne, I'm the owner, customer service. This is a particular Etsy where I sell engraved items that are not Celtic, so not things that our local customers know us for. I say that I'm the manager. of all things for social media, customer service. I completed the Laser Star training in 2019. And I love all the new options that are available. I can add a story, you know, the ancient techniques of laser, modern laser engraving. Just, you know, you can add a video to like show how you do what you do. You can add other people, like let's say you have a coworker, a spouse, a business partner. You can add that person and say something about them and what they do for your business. You can add a shop link, which this is a good time to talk about social media. You want to, even if you're not a big Facebook person, not a big Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest person, you want to add them. You want to claim them for yourself so nobody else will. So let's say your business, in this case, is called WM Designs. I need to either attach that to my Walker Metalsmiths Facebook, or I need to go make one. The reason you do this is because some people will only search. Hold on, I'm going to. Okay, some people will only search for things on Facebook. So you want to make sure that that's like claimed for you so that it routes to your appropriate pages. You can link your Etsy, you can link other stores to your Facebook so that people can get to how they buy your stuff, but they might only find you through Facebook. Now I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment just to see if anybody else needs to be let into the room. Nope, we're good. We'll go back to sharing our screen. Okay, so in the settings, you can also go to options. You can custom order request. You can say, can a person request a custom order? Enable it. That way, if there's something you do that the customers see, but they want something slightly different, they can ask. You can enable gift wrapping services. You can offer gift wraps, gift messages, automatic listing transactions. So it'll translate it into other languages. So if you're going to ship your items internationally, this may be something that you want to turn on. I enable it just because not everyone in this country speaks English, so you should always make it easy for your customers to shop with you. Want shoppers to be able to see your sold listings? Sure, show them. I do this because sometimes things I make are custom, but it's not for sale anymore, but if you want me to make another one, I will. You can also set your time zone. This basically keeps your shop, like if it says you're going to ship in 24 hours, it does it from your time zone. But the settings are really where you're going to spend a lot of your first couple of hours setting up an Etsy, your shipping settings. How are you going to ship your items? Now, Etsy always wants you to offer free shipping guaranteed. Now, whether that makes sense for you, like if your items are small and you're going to send them in an envelope that costs you $1, okay, sure. If you sell a table and you have to ship it freight, that's going to cost you a very different amount of money. If you are going to include that in the price, you need to be aware of that. But Etsy gives you priority placement if you offer that. So in this case, I offer free shipping on this particular, but you can set up shipping profiles. I have two. I have one where it's going to charge them a particular amount of money, and it's called Gold Ship, and that gives me 1 to 2 weeks to make the item and ship. And then I have Silver Ship, which I usually ship for free on this particular one. You see there's 10 items in one. This is not a very well-developed Etsy page right now. Package preferences. How are you going to ship your items? I can add UPS, USPS flat rate, all these things. Rates and upgrades, shipping label options. How do I want it to show my name, my address? So this would be where if you have a PO box, you're going to want to put that in here. You do need a physical street address to set up your Etsy, but you can use a PO box to ship from. And you can choose UPS, USPS, or FedEx. You can offer, I mean, there's so many options that you can specialize here. And settings, you also want to make sure that, so the shop title, this one's WM Jewelry Design. You can add a shop icon like this if you have a logo, great place to put it. Order receipt banner, that's just gonna show up on your receipts. But essentially you wanna go through the settings. Sorry about that. You wanna go through the settings and set up everything. Shop announcement, are you having a slow time shipping right now because of the pandemic? Shop announcement's the place to do it. Message to buyers, this is something people get after they purchase from you. And this is for digital items, like let's say you do digital design. This would be like download instructions, things like that. About your shop, we already went over that, but just kind of go down the list, fill in the items. Production partners, let's say you sell bath bombs, but you get your organic essential oils from a friend and you would want to include them as, hey, here's who makes the essential oils. They also offer marketing, which Etsy ads, sales and coupons, social media. The really great thing about Etsy is they are going to basically hold your hand and walk you through how to do that. But you can only sell certain types of items on here. Now, the next important thing, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, is your products, which are listings. So each listing, like this one's a necklace, this one's a ring. Let's say this was gonna be a scarf, a hat. You want each one to have its own listing. So some of these are really similar items, but have very minor differences. And I make each one their own listing so that we can separate them out to, also you can track who's looking at your items, things like that. Because maybe this one's much more successful than this one, even though they're essentially the same item, just in slightly different sizes. So when you go to add a listing, oop, why does it keep opening me new stuff? Okay. So add a listing, it says you want primary photo, every angle, details, in use, size and scale, stylized scene. It gives you suggestions, which is so helpful, especially if you're just starting out. But product photos are by far the #1 way people shop. If you are not good at taking photos, I believe Nick is going to be offering a new product photo webinar in next week. So you should definitely sit down on that, because you do not have to be a photography expert to take good photos. So you're gonna wanna fill up all of these if you can. And then an accurate title. Like, what is the item? You wanna describe it. You might call it, like we have something we call the Kelly Cross. Does that mean anything to everyone? No, it doesn't. So what you're gonna say is Celtic Kelly Cross. Now they know what it is. Who made it? I did. Member of my shop, another person. What is it? Finished product or a supply? It has to be one of these two things. When was it made? Pick a time. If it's vintage, it has to be before 2001. Then you can pick a category, which, see, the monogram name and necklaces are what I sell on this particular Etsy. So it automatically suggests my most common sold item. And then you're gonna want a description. It's a physical item. You wanna be as accurate and specific as possible. This necklace is 1.5 inches long by 1/4 inch wide. It's made of sterling silver, all the components. You want every piece of information here. And you'll find that customers don't always read the description, but when they receive their item, if they're like, oh, I thought it would be this, you can point to the description and say, actually, the description is very clear on what it is. Where are you gonna put it? Necklaces, rings. You can set up, I believe, up to 10 sections. So you can diversify that as far as you want. So tables, chairs, anything like that. Then you can pick tags like necklace, silver necklace, You can, Celtic necklace. And you want to use every one that you can. And the reason that is because this is how the search algorithms work. This is how they find you. And then the materials, you can add all the materials that you've used. So, but these are also how your items are found. So get specific, but don't get like technical. If there's like you used such and such type resin, unless that's something that you think a customer is going to search by. And then price. Now, if you read, this is Etsy, they say, remember to factor in the cost of materials, labor, and other business expenses. If you offer free shipping, make sure to include the cost of shipping so it doesn't eat into your profits. It's an automatic cheat sheet to how you should price your items. So if it costs you $5 in yarn to make a hat, and then it costs you 2 hours of your time to make the hat, some people will just say, oh, well, I just want to cover my yarn, it's $10. That's not actually a good idea. You want to also pay yourself for your time. It took you 2 hours. So how much do you value your wage? Minimum wage is $11.80 in New York right now. So you'd automatically have to charge about $24 for your time. Since you're making the item, you get to choose. But so that would make your investment in this item $29 already. And that's not including your packaging, tissue paper, branding stickers, things like that. How many are there? Did you make 3 of them? A SKU, how you're going to track your stuff internally, like how you filed it, what's your item. And then variations, like do you offer different colors? Do you offer different styles? Things like that. And then you pick a shipping. Essentially, Etsy will walk you through it and they will hold your hand the whole time. And there are really great things for community and help. Shipping help. I don't know how to ship this package. Seller handbook, which is key. You should read that. It basically tells you how to handle a problem customer, how you should behave professionally with your customers on messages, etc. So you can also look at your, I'm not gonna do that real quick because I'm not gonna show you my messages because that has my private customer information there. But your customers can message you and it will pop up right there. You can also go to your dashboard, which I'm not going to go to because it shows private business information, but your dashboard will tell you how many sales you've made, how much money you've made. You can also go to your finances and add your payment account, your payment settings. You can also link it to QuickBooks, TurboTax. You can add your taxpayer ID. You can use your social security number here, but if you sell more than, let's say, I think it's $600 and something, you should have a taxpayer ID. Etsy will send you a 1099. So but these are like essential things you need to do when you set it up. So the next thing after Etsy, which you can ask me questions about that and I'd be happy to answer any about setting up an Etsy, but that's really only specifically for crafting items. Or supplies, like if you're a craft store and you sell crafted like items to make crafts with, you can set up a Shopify. So I already went ahead and did the Shopify you see how it pops up and says I have 9 days left in my trial. I set up a 14-day trial so that we could try it out and see what it looks like, bare bones, and without exposing my customers' information. So here's what it looks like when you haven't set up anything. All I did was log in. I created a name for my store, which was Andover Jewelry Store. And it prompts me to select a plan, which you can do later. But it asks me to add a product, customize the theme, add a domain. So a domain is going to be your website. And if you want to add a domain, you have to purchase a domain. So it's going to give me the primary domain of Andover-jewelry-store.myshopify.com. Okay, that's going to be not really easy for my customers to remember, and there may be something better available. So you'd go to buy a domain. So it gives me options for what I can buy, and then I can go back and attach it to here. So buy a domain, what do I want? Andover jewelry store.com. And it tells me it's going to be $14 a year. I can buy it, and then I pay my fees through shopify.com. You can also get .info, .shop, .store, .org, .net. I always suggest going with .com because that's what people recognize the most. You want something that's easy to remember, easy to spell, and top of mind. So just think about it thoroughly before you buy one, because you're going to be somewhat stuck with it for a little while, at least, especially if you print material to go with it. And again, just like with Etsy, you're going to end up spending a lot of time in the settings. So general, view and update your store details, payments, enable and manage your store's payment providers. How are you going to get money from your customers? So in this case, Shopify payments, that's a great option. It's already integrated. They tell you that your credit card rate when people pay with credit card is going to be 2.4% plus 30 cents. So you already know what you're paying. Your transaction fee is 0. There are other services, so you should shop around. So you can pick, sure, sounds good. You can also choose to have PayPal. You can choose Amazon Pay, third-party providers. This is where if you choose to use a different company to process your credit cards, which there are hundreds, thousands, choose a third-party provider. You can add it there. Alternate payment methods. Let's say you are a cash-only business and you do not process credit card payments, or you prefer to be paid by check. Choose alternate payment. Manual payment methods. Payments that are processed outside your online store. So bank deposit, money order, cash on delivery. So you need to know how your customers plan to shop, how your customers plan to pay for their items. Something to consider is when you shop online, how do you pay? So think about your shopping habits, but also like maybe, you know, if you're a younger person, you need to think about your demographics. Like if you're 22, how does a 55-year-old shop though? Ask your mom, ask relatives, ask people of different ages and socioeconomic groups how they pay for things online, because you want to make it as easy as possible for your customers to purchase items for you. So essentially you're going to walk through the settings, check out, customize. You can customize pretty much everything on this website. Legal, manage your store's legal pages. Billing, manage your billing information. This is you. Like, this is where I would add my bank account for the things to deposit into. Once Shopify starts billing me for my monthly use of their website, where do I want that money to come from? View financial overview, billing and payouts. This will give you great information for keeping track of your finances, which a lot of people think about the exciting part of setting up a website, which is listing your items and things like that, taking pictures, and that's the exciting part, but the essential part is actually this back end stuff. Every single one of these things needs to be clicked on. So go through it, click on each one, fill out the information. Gift cards, you don't necessarily have to enable. So that's, I guess, one of the exemptions. Sales channels, you can attach Facebook, you can attach Instagram, lots of different options. So now, if you go back to home, so you can customize the theme, customize your theme. I swear to goodness. Okay, so how do you want your website to look? Now, I am not a web developer. I do not build websites. I use the template. It's going to give you options. How do you want your header to look? It says Andover Jewelry, home, catalog. That's a good place to start. There's nothing wrong with that particular look. But what if I want an image? I would have to, let's pick a free image, staff favorites. So now I have an image. So you can pick from the stock images or you can upload your own. I highly recommend uploading your own so that your website looks unique. And then you can edit the text. So I'm going to select this cat with a coffee cup, middle alignment, use overlay text. So I might say, and then, okay, what else do we want to say about the Andover jewelry store? Handmade custom jewelry. Bam. So if you are like a handyman, you can add that. Okay. If you are, so essentially pick an image that relates to what you want. Add the text, but you can change your format at any time. Like just because you set it up this way doesn't mean you can't change it later. Featured collection. Okay, it's showing all your items that you haven't uploaded yet, but how do you want that to look? Shopify is one of those websites that will hold your hand through the whole thing, and all you have to do is select one item, select the next, select the next. So follow their tutorials. There's lots of YouTube videos on how to set up your website on Shopify. There's tons of tutorials. You can also, I think Shopify even has a help page to help you do that. It's very straightforward. And then once you start getting orders, they just pop up in your orders. Your orders won't show up till you have a plan. Once you have the plan, all you have to do is select orders and you go in and fulfill the orders here. If you've attached your, you can ship the orders right from here. You do not need anything other than a printer and a computer. You can actually use the app on your phone. I do. You can't actually ship them, but I can capture their money. Like I can email the customer right from my phone. Like let's say somebody orders something and I know they order at FedEx today and I know that it's not going to be able to ship today. I can just go in and click on it on my phone and email the customer. Fortunately, I don't have an iPhone, so I can't share how that looks on my phone, but also I have a lot of customers' personal information when it comes to that, which, you know, when you're starting an e-commerce business, protecting your and your customers' information is key. So that's part of when you set it up. You can set up how specific you want your, like I don't save any of my customers' credit card information, things like that. You can set those restrictions when you come to payment accounts. You can get analytics, like how much business have you done? This is a fake one, so 0. But let's say you want to know in the last 30 days, how much business have I done? It will show you. But it'll also compare it to the last 30 days. So you can see, are things going better or are they going worse? And knowing where you're at can really help you plan ahead for future business. You can also do live view. How many people are on my website? And where are those people located? Are you a big hit in California or is it all local business? You can get that information. Marketing. You can actually attach your Facebook. You can send out Shopify emails. Shopify is in the business of making you money so that they can make money with your credit card transaction fees. So essentially, most of these selling platforms are there to help you make money. So they will show you step by step what to do. You can go to community forums to get more information. You can go to the Shopify Help Center. I've called them several times to help me with a glitch on the website. Super helpful people. They will walk you through it. If you think you need a little more help setting up your website, like you have more products than time, you can hire a Shopify expert to do it for you. I've done that in the past, where I wanted to make an update to all of my pages. We have thousands of pages. I did not have time to do it myself. I hired someone to do it for me. And these are all vetted experts through Shopify. So let me stop sharing my screen. So we can talk about a couple other things. So a few people joined us while I was talking about all that fun. I haven't kept an eye on the chat, so I apologize. Can people use Venmo? Yes and no. So they cannot use Venmo on Etsy. They can use PayPal. You should not, and this is another thing I was going to touch on, which is scams. Do not ever let someone pay you outside of the website unless they're a known entity to you. So let's say Ruby said, hey, can I Venmo you the money for that necklace I wanted? I'm probably going to let her because I know Ruby. If somebody that I've never met before from California says, hey, can I Venmo you the money outside of Etsy? It's actually against Etsy's terms and services to let you accept funds outside of Etsy. So that's usually a big warning sign like, hey, don't do that. If it's against their terms and services, it's usually for a reason. So do not accept payment or offer a refund outside of the Etsy or Shopify platforms. It's just not going to end well. So another thing I wanted to talk about that I kind of mentioned briefly was social media and advertising. You should claim your social media, claim your Facebook, claim your Instagram, your TikTok if you want to. There's so much social media and it's always changing. But also you need to claim your Google business. I believe Ruby's going to talk about how to set up your Google business this afternoon. It's super easy peasy, but a lot of people Google it and then they just call you from the Google listing. So if you don't have the right phone number, you don't have the right email or the right website, people are not going to know how to get in touch. And in this day and age, people are very instant satisfaction. So if they can't find your phone number in like the first minute of looking for it, they're not calling you. They're going to call someone else. So make yourself really crystal clear on how to get in touch. And if that means setting up a Google Voice number or setting up a special email only for work things, that's the way to do it. Let's see. I had some notes. Now, Etsy talked about pricing your items appropriately, which is super important with e-commerce because I think we all are trying to give the best deal and people are usually looking for the best price. You need to consider your overhead. Just because you're e-commerce doesn't mean there's no overhead. For example, your packaging. You're going to need to have a printer. If you're doing e-commerce, you need a printer. I suggest a LaserJet just because the ink is like in the long run cheaper, or the toner rather. So you're going to need a printer. You're going to need a space to ship your orders from. You're going to need packaging, branding, business cards. There's so many things that you don't take into account. Now, obviously, you're not going to charge your first customer $300 because you had to buy a printer. But spreading that cost out over all the things you're selling. And also, are you including free shipping? Well, what does shipping your item cost? Include that in the price. And also value your time. I think a lot of new sellers and new businesses forget to value themselves and the time they're putting into it. If it took you 3 hours to make sure that you're being compensated for your time. Don't just price it based on your materials used. Another thing to keep in mind is that customer service is key. So I know a lot of us are used to just text messaging or phone, but you need to communicate with your customer in the way they feel most comfortable. If my customer wants me to text message them, I will. If my customer wants me to call them, I also will. And if my customer wants to email me, that's fine too. A lot of e-commerce people don't want to talk on the phone, but how many times have you as a customer been frustrated that you couldn't get somebody on the phone to talk about an issue that could have been resolved in 50 seconds over the phone, but you just spent 10 minutes looking for a phone number, or 10 minutes or you spent 3 days waiting for an email back. So communicate, like, give your customers all the options that you would want as a consumer. And when you're setting up your website, look at all of your competition. Like if you are a contractor, search local contractors, but don't just search local contractors, search all contractors. See what you like about those websites, what you don't like about those websites, and feel out how you want to present yourself, and then make yourself stand out. Like you don't want to be like, oh, I like that that one guy's color scheme and then mimic it, because they might mistake you for him or him for you. And then you're essentially giving away free advertising to someone else. So make yourself stand out, be unique. But looking at everybody else's websites, when I did a website update recently, we looked at all the websites. We looked at Kay's, Jared's, also other Celtic jewelry stores. And then we didn't do anything that was just like that. We did something that had similarities, but, you know, was uniquely us. But it's always good to see what the competition is doing, because everyone has competition of some kind. So if you don't have somebody who does exactly what you do, broaden it out. So if you offer a very specific type of contracting service, like expand that. Well, what's the very root of it? Okay, well, I'm an electrician. So look for, but I do a very specific type of work. Expand it to electrician and look at that. And then you can kind of get some ideas of what you need to do and what you need to tell your customers you do. Let us see. So finally, I think that another important thing about e-commerce, since we all are pretty attached to our phones these days, it's easy with e-commerce because on my phone, I have Etsy, Facebook, I have my Shopify app, I have my TikTok for business, I have my Facebook Manager for business. I have all of that right on my cell phone. So it's really hard to turn it off at night. Like, so when you're getting pings and sounds going off because you just got an email from a customer, you just got a message from Etsy, you just had a sale, you feel compelled to look at it. So what I'm trying to say is, it's a business, set your hours, 9 to 5, or whatever is appropriate for your industry, and then turn it off like later. I have all my notifications set to stop at a certain time. Because the person who emails you about an order at 2 a.m. does not expect you to answer it. So when you're not at work, be at home. And that's really hard to do. And I say that as somebody who does sometimes check my emails in the evening. But because it's so easy with e-commerce to just always be at work, you're going to burn out if you do that. So do turn it off, and do remember that most people expect you to get back to them in the 9 to 5 time range. Unless you offer them an emergency service, you don't need to be constantly in your phone. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to message them, reach out to Ruby on her Facebook or via email, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. I know I did a pretty gloss over on how to set those up. There are other services you can use. If all you're wanting is a website, Shopify probably isn't it. You can just Google easy website services, and there's hundreds, literally hundreds of different ones where you can use clip art. You can just set it up easy peasy. So just because I showed you Shopify doesn't mean Shopify is the best or only option. There's tons of options, and you should look at them and research them to see which one is best for you and your business. So thank you so much, Ruby and Accord, for having me. It was a pleasure. Again, I'm Jeanne from Walker Metalsmiths. So if you have any questions, feel free to message us. Bye.